3 years after my sister defended my attacker, he struck again at her own wedding. Now she's divorced, in therapy, and drowning in guilt. The champagne hadn't even gone flat when the screaming started. White roses, crystal chandeliers, a string quartet still playing like nothing was wrong, and in the middle of it all, Sophie's new brother-in-law being dragged out in handcuffs for assaulting a server. The same man who attacked me 3 years earlier. The same man my sister told me I was misunderstanding. That wedding was supposed to be her fairy tale. Instead, it became my vindication. If you've ever been told to keep the peace while someone else destroys yours, if you've ever been called dramatic for protecting yourself, this story is going to hit hard. Hit like, subscribe, and buckle up, because today's Reddit revenge story isn't about petty payback. It's about choosing yourself and watching karma do the rest. For most of my life, I was the reasonable one, the quiet one, the peacemaker. Sophie, my older sister, was the golden child, the glitter, the performance, the one who walked into a room and expected it to rearrange itself around her. 3 years before her wedding, reminding everyone why she was special. I was at a family barbecue when Adrian, her then boyfriend's brother, cornered me in the guest bathroom. The lock clicked. His breath smelled like beer and mint gum. His hand was on my wrist before my brain could process what was happening. I remember staring at the seashell wallpaper and thinking, this can't be real. Not in my parents' house. Not at a family event. When I told Sophie what he'd done, how he'd shoved me against the sink, how I had to physically push past him to get out, she stared at me like I'd just insulted her outfit. Elena, she sighed. Adrian flirts with everyone. You're probably overreacting. Overreacting. The word felt heavier than the assault itself. Her fiancé, Mark, didn't even deny it outright. He just smirked. My brother's harmless. Harmless. That word followed me for years. I went quiet, not because I wasn't hurt, but because I saw how the room shifted when I spoke. My parents exchanged those tight, embarrassed glances. My mother whispered, "Let's not create a scene." My father said, "Families work through things." My brothers believed me instantly. They were ready to confront Adrian that night. But Sophie begged them not to. Don't ruin this for me. And somehow, I became the one ruining things. When Sophie announced her engagement to Mark, she called me first. "You'll be my maid of honor," she said, breathless with excitement. I swallowed hard. "Will Adrian be there?" There was a pause, then a laugh. "Of course he will. He's family." The word family tasted bitter. I told her I wouldn't feel safe around him. That's when her voice changed. Sharp. Defensive. "You're still stuck on that? Elena, it's been years. At some point, you have to let things go." Let things go. Like trauma was clutter in a closet. Then came the real blow. "I want you to walk down the aisle with Adrian," she said. I actually laughed because it sounded like a joke. "I'm serious," she insisted. "It'll show everyone there's no bad blood." No bad blood. My palms went slick with sweat. My chest tightened the way it had in that bathroom. "And Daniel?" I asked, referring to my partner of 7 years. Sophie hesitated again. "We're keeping the guest list tight. No plus ones." Except every other bridesmaid had one. She wanted me arm in arm with the man who assaulted me. And my partner, the man who held me through nightmares, was banned. That's when I realized this wasn't about peace. It was about optics. If I smiled in photos next to Adrian, then nothing bad had ever happened. The family pressure ramped up like a coordinated campaign. My aunt called me dramatic. A cousin hinted I was jealous of Sophie's perfect life. My mother said, "This is bigger than you." Bigger than me? The irony. For years, I'd swallowed my discomfort to avoid fracturing the family. I attended holidays where Adrian was present and stayed hyper-aware of every doorway. I left early. I never drank. I positioned myself near exits, and still, I was the problem. Sophie started telling relatives I was unstable, that I had a crush on Mark years ago, that I was lashing out because I felt left behind. The betrayal wasn't loud, it was surgical. Every lie chipped away at my credibility until I started questioning my own memory. Was it that bad? Did I exaggerate? Should I just endure one day for her happiness? Then one night, Daniel found me sitting on the kitchen floor, staring at the RSVP card. "You don't have to prove anything," he said softly. I looked up at him, eyes burning. "If I don't go, I lose my family." He knelt in front of me. "If you do go, you lose yourself." That was the moment, the breaking point. I mailed back a single sentence. "I will not be attending." I didn't watch the live stream. I didn't check social media. I took Daniel and drove 2 hours out of town. We hiked a trail overlooking a lake. My phone buzzed in my pocket all afternoon. When we got back to the car, I finally looked. 23 missed calls, 9 texts, one from my brother that simply said, "You were right." The details came in fragments. During cocktail hour, Adrian cornered one of the catering servers, a college student barely 20. Someone heard raised voices, then a crash. A tray of champagne flutes shattered across marble flooring. Guests turned. The girl was crying. Adrian was gripping her arm. Security intervened. Someone called the police. Mark tried to smooth it over. Sophie screamed at the staff for causing a scene. But this time, there were witnesses, multiple, phones out, cameras rolling. Adrian was arrested before the first dance. The venue manager refused to continue service. Half the guests left. The other half stayed for the spectacle. Sophie's fairy tale dissolved into flashing red and blue lights. At first, Sophie doubled down. She said the server was lying, that it was a misunderstanding, that people were trying to sabotage her marriage. Then more women came forward. Former employees from Mark's father's company, a girl from their hometown, even an ex-girlfriend. Patterns emerged, stories aligned. Adrian wasn't harmless. He was practiced. And Mark? Mark had helped cover it up, paid settlements, NDAs, private resolutions. And then came the final blow. Police found illicit photos on Adrian's cloud account, including screenshots of my social media and private images taken without my knowledge at family events. Mark had access. Sophie called me 3 weeks later. Her voice was hollow. "I found messages," she whispered. "They joked about you." Joked. About my body. About cornering me again. About how I owed them for staying quiet. The illusion shattered. Within months, she filed for divorce. The wedding album was never printed. Adrian eventually pleaded guilty to multiple charges: probation, mandatory registration, court-ordered therapy, not prison, but public record. No more hiding behind wealth. The most satisfying moment wasn't the arrest. It wasn't the scandal. It was the letter Sophie sent me months later. 6 pages, tear-stained, confessional. She admitted she'd known Adrian had a history. She admitted she ignored warning signs because she wanted the wedding, the ring, the house, the image. "I chose my fairy tale over you," she wrote, "and I will live with that forever." I read it slowly, my hands steady. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel hysterical. I felt right. My response was one paragraph. I told her I was glad she was seeking therapy, that I hoped she healed. But forgiveness wasn't something she was entitled to, and I wished her clarity. That was it. No rage, no theatrics, just boundaries. A year later, I married Daniel in my best friend's backyard. String lights, homemade food. 30 people who showed up because they loved us, not because they needed a spectacle. There were no chandeliers, no ice sculptures, just safety. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about refusing to stand beside them while they destroy themselves. If this story hit you in the chest, let us know in the comments. Have you ever been pressured to keep the peace at your own expense? Hit that like button if you believe protecting yourself is never selfish. And subscribe for more stories where karma doesn't need an invitation, it just shows up.